As you all know, there are mainly three methods that are used for sheet metal manufacturing practices. We use different cutting methods to cut the sheet metal. After that, we use different forming methods to give it a 3D shape. And after that, we use different joining techniques to make a huge assembly or make a better part of an assembly. Now, in sheet metal, there are various tools that are being used to achieve those methods. For example, to cut, we use laser cutters, waterjet, plasma, manual grinder, or sometimes the blanking process. There are manual folders available and there are CNC press brakes available in the market. So in this video, we are going to know what are the advantages and disadvantages of using those particular processes, because if you are designing something and you get it wrong, or if you haven't considered the method of manufacturing, that could be a bit of a disaster when it hits the workshop floor. We will understand the advantages and disadvantages of those methods. In cutting methods, there are mainly four methods that are being used for cutting a piece of sheet. First method is laser cutters. Number 2 is waterjet cutting. Number 3 is plasma cutting. And number 4 is guillotine, or you can say blanking processes. So let's start with understanding the first process, which is the easiest one, is blanking. So blanking is a process where you have a blade coming from the top and we cut it just like of vegetable. There are some good advantages of this method. So number 1 is you require less skilled labor. Number 2, if your product can work with a straight line cuts, it is a really quick and really efficient way to get things faster than laser cutters. Now, what are the disadvantages of this method? So to understand the disadvantages, we need to know how thick you're going to cut the sheet metal. This method can only cut up to 3 mil, or sometimes if you push the limit, you can go up to 5 mil thick. Another disadvantage is if you don't only have square pieces to cut, or if you just don't have straight lines to cut, you cannot use that process. Because it only cuts in a straight line, you may end up having a lot of wastage or a lot of scrap in the method that you are using. Now let's move on to the waterjet cutting. So waterjet cutting is a really good tool if you want to cut a really thick sheet metal. For example, if you want to cut something that is 200 mil thick, or even if you want to cut things like wood, plastic, glass, or sometimes even tiles and stones, you can cut all those using the waterjet cutter. So the advantage of this waterjet cutting is you can have a really versatile material. You can also cut a soft metal on this, and you can also cut a really thick metal and really hard metal using the waterjet. So disadvantages for using the waterjet cutter is if you are going to use the waterjet cutter for sheet metal and for thin, especially for thin metal, time it requires to cut those sheet is 10 times than the time required using the other methods. If the operator doesn't know how to maintain the machine properly, it runs into a lot of troubles. So now let's move on to the third method, which is plasma and oxy-arc cuttings are really good, really fast, and they can cut a really thick metal on their bed. So this is a really good advantage. And the good thing about plasma machines are they are really cheap. So the disadvantage of these machines are they can only cut a certain type of material. For example, if you want to cut stainless steel using plasma arc, it can cut stainless steel, but the problem you will face, stainless steel that you cut on the plasma arc will have issue with the rusting in the future. So ideally, no one would prefer to cut stainless steel in plasma cutters. So these are the main advantages and disadvantages of plasma cutting. Let's understand advantages and disadvantages of laser cutting. So laser cutters are very widely used in the industry. The first benefit is it is really quick. It cuts really fast than any other methods that I've explained except the plasma arc. But with the new fiber machines, laser cutters are really quick. Also, you get a really good efficiency because you get to nest the part before it actually comes to laser cutting. That means you can get a really good utilization of a sheet and have a really good efficiency while you are cutting the sheet metal. These are the advantages of the laser cutters. Now, what are the disadvantages of laser? Laser cutters are really expensive. For example, if you get a good brand, you'll get it in around $500,000. Another disadvantage of this method, when you go thicker, it starts getting slow. And after a certain point, for example, it can only cut up to 40 mil mildly with the latest technology that is available right now in the market. Also, you cannot cut too thick stainless steel. So for all those methods, You will require other methods like waterjet cutting and plasma if you are really cutting thick steel onto the laser. Another disadvantage of laser is when it comes to copper, bronze or brass or even titanium. It is really hard to get a good settings for those type of material because it reflects a high amount of heat back to the laser mirror. So based on all these methods, you got to decide what method you want to use for your design sheet metal part. So these are the 4 cutting methods for sheet metal. Thank you very much guys for watching. Please like, share and subscribe. I will see you in my next video.